Peace and love, family. It's your girl, Sixthegoddis. And keep in mind, I'm a goddess and I'm sensitive about my shift. Hope you are doing well. I'm doing amazing. I've done a live stream on this subject, but I just had to do a follow up because I knew that we could depend on our OG elder, Judge Joe Brown, to come through and back me up on some of what I was saying. Now, for those of you probably wondering, what am I talking about? I'm talking about some recent photos that have surfaced of Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors. And the moment I saw these photos with these two men, I knew immediately it was problematic. Now, everybody has their own opinion on things, and that's totally fine. And I get that. Now, my style is I like to be proactive. I like to be preventative towards things. I don't like to wait until things just totally rear its ugly head before I start reacting to it. I like to kind of see things going in a direction and to be like, it's not giving, okay? So these were the photos. When I saw the photos, they immediately just rubbed me the wrong way because I found that it was romantically intimate. Okay. Um, as I stated before, I love the concept of Black men, loving each other, us appreciating one another, supporting one another. I'm here for that. But I also know there's a line that you cross where it gets the lines get to be blurry. Now, recently, there has been an MMA fighter, and I'm thinking about doing a video on it, who pretty much got exposed for giving fellatio and now has a video of that circulating on the internet. And he presented as heterosexual. And, when he gave his views on, homosexuality, he was very fluid in his speaking about it, like, oh, we're all human beings, like it's all good. And I'm a firm believer in heterosexual males need to protect heterosexuality. They need to have a firm stance in it is not for me. It is not something that I condone. Do I hate you? Do I want wrong to happen for you? Do I think you deserve less? Do I think that you're less of a human? Absolutely not. Do I still love all my Black people? Still love you. However, you have to take a stand to say, I don't agree with it. I'm not with it. Okay. And I said, it's very dangerous. We're already in this place where they're trying to push, being bi as acceptable and for men. And, it just simply will not be and never should be. You cannot come back from fellatio, giving fellatio to a man. And, I said, we need to keep these lines clear when it comes to, somebody's orientation. And the minute that you start blurring those lines, things get weird. I told women to be leery of the men who thought these photos were okay. Because just like old boy, the MMA fighter that said that there was nothing wrong with it and it was okay. And then turns out he'd been sucking Pete on the internet. It's very important for a man to be firm in it. When I did my video on this, I said, no, masculinity does not need all these nuances and caveats. Masculinity stands on its square. It is what it is. There is no wavering. There's no room for translation. Oh, y'all came for me. Oh, you don't like to see Black men love each other. You don't like to see Black men appreciate each other. But you so okay when you see them shooting each other, but them hugging each other is not a problem. And you know what was so interesting about that? So, let's go ahead and roll with that. That's what you're saying. You're saying that these photos are not too much, even though two Black men can definitely show love to each other with even a simple maybe arm around the shoulder, maybe a handshake or something like that. That in the same way translates, a level of love and appreciation. The minute you go to laying your head on someone, putting your arms around someone's chest, it becomes romantically intimate, which means it becomes gay for two men to do that together. Oh, and y'all came for me. Oh, no, that's not the case. But what's so interesting? Those same people that said that there was nothing romantically intimate about the way these two grown men were posed, those same people I asked, if a woman said there's nothing wrong with it, let me ask you this, sis. Can I take a picture with your husband like this? Just like this, all right? Let that sink in. So let's say, your husband has a coworker at work he's very close with, they're great friends. And you find a picture of him and his coworker posed like this, between a man and a woman with your husband. Would you look at that and say, I'm sure glad to see black man and woman loving each other? Or would you say, no, this has crossed the line. This is a romantically intimate pose. Fellas, let me ask you this. Would you be okay if you find a picture with your girl with another man posed like this, with her head on his shoulder, holding his head? Would y'all be all right? Because if you're saying that there is nothing homosexual about two men posing together this way, then that means that since there is nothing romantic involved with this, then it would be totally okay for someone to take a photo with your spouse this way. And I'd be willing to bet that for 99% of you, your perspective would change real quick. All right. If we decided that this posing right here is not romantically intimate, so it would be okay for someone to pose like that with your spouse. Okay. We have to stop doing this thing where we want to be a contrarian just to sound smart and just to be different or just to pander. And I was really excited to see Judge Joe Brown speak on this, because another element of my argument was that Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors are two black men that exclusively date non-black women. Okay. Which I also think is problematic, because what they're doing, they're heartthrobs and role models as being in Hollywood, and they're coming in blurring the lines of what is heterosexual and acceptable and okay for black men. But then they're running back to the non-black women in a whole different community. So Hollywood definitely has an agenda. They send men like this out to stir up confusion, stir the pot, and then they trot right on back to the white women that they're used to. And so I said, I'm seeing where this is going. This is problematic, and it needs to be nipped in the bud. And sure enough, it ends up going off the deep end a lot faster than I thought. And we're going to listen to Judge Joe Brown's thoughts on this. I'm going to let the OG talk and take it from here.
Is this mirrored?
Joe Brown, mayor. Yeah, that's his campaign pin. Okay. So campaign pin.
Ma'am,
I created
let's get
Judge
to it, ma'am.
Brown campaign question about masculinity. So this is his take, actor Jonathan Majors, on masculinity. And I do want to ask you, Judge, about black men in Hollywood. But first, let's listen to this clip, right?
As a human being, your entire existence is being disregarded. Mm-hmm. And that's Killian's plight. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, it is a story of triumph. Mm-hmm. And it's a love letter. It's it's one of those. As you said.
You talked about being a black man and this idea of masculinity, and this idea of what that encompasses, right? Yeah. And I think that you probably are not aware of this, but a few days ago you were trending on Twitter.
Yep.
Some people didn't like that you were wearing.
And, even when this photo came out, y'all, I think it's very serious to look at something a man who is allegedly hetero does. It's a very big deal to use the word gay or homosexual at all in its description. So even when I seen him dressed in an all pink rose robe, I still was like, no, I'm not gonna be that person. This is art. It's just different. But this is why I always stick to my intuition, because of course this was a gateway into a dark place.
Pink and ebony, and they felt like it wasn't masculine enough. I know that you have said that you look at a lot of your roles, like be it Atticus Finch and Lovecraft Country, as an antidote to like a limited way of thinking about masculinity. Yeah. What do you say to those? I mean, I think they're haters. I think it's toxic.
Well, yeah, I imagine it's the homies, right?
It was who was like, it's they,
I like to meet the fellas, you know what I mean?
I think they, you think they would want to meet you though? Because they might have to.
I don't even take it there. You know what I mean? I would just like to, I'd just be curious.
What they have to say.
Tell me what masculinity is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it is fluid. Yeah. You tell me what it is. I mean, I wouldn't want to walk up on me in the street. You know what I mean? Like just 110%. You know what I mean? Like, but it's bigger than that. It's love. It's like maybe there's fear in that. Maybe it makes you fearful. It's tough because the conversations you would have man to man, You know what I mean? This conversation you would have, you know,
with it.
yeah.
But what do you think masculinity? Like, what is your definition of masculinity?
It's balanced, isn't it? There's strength, right? And there's vulnerability. There's awareness.
First of all, I think it is so hilarious. Do y'all see how the judge looks stressed out up there at the top? Oh, you probably can't see because my logo. But I am shook at how the judge is up there like this. He's like, he looks so stressed, like this is just killing him. Judge, same. I tried to tell him, Judge. I tried to tell him.
Awareness, and then there's
This is a
acknowledgement of ignorance. A big part of it is kindness, right? Use of power, gentleness. These are masculine characteristics.
Yes,
it's quite unmasculine to try to emasculate another man.
Absolutely.
I'm not coming for nobody, but kindness is a big part of it. Doesn't matter, you know, how much you weigh or how much you bench press. That's not the point. You know what I mean? It's none of that. You know, it's an energy. It's an energy. You know what I mean? And I hear my brothers. We fight and claw for every inch of positive popularity we get, of positive news we get. You know, and it's not lost on me that in this moment, because of the pictures I've made and because of the way I move through the world, I may be seen as that, and I don't shy away from, you know, this idea of Black masculinity. I'm just living my life. I am male. I am Black. These things go hand in hand. I mean, foot and shoe, hand in glove. You know, I asked them to, you know, be a bit more enlightened.
As a Black actor, you are a Black actor.
Yeah.
Is there a fear of not only do I have to make the right decisions, but I don't want to let, you know, my grandma down or my mama down, or that I won't live up to expectations? Do you feel that?
I think my fear goes to, man, I hope they like it. You know, God, I hope they like me. You know what I mean? Or they like what that guy did. You know, that they like Damien, that they like Kane. You know, because I made it for him. You know what I mean? That's the fear. You know, as far as.
All right. So, what are your thoughts on his?
And by the way, you know, I don't know if y'all really paid attention there, but he pretty much said a bunch of absolutely nothing. Okay. This is what I mean. Please see how people moving. When it comes to gatekeeping and protecting the heterosexual Black male lines in the sand, we cannot afford to play any games with that. All right. People like him get on here. He just gave us this whole entire like word puzzle and said absolutely nothing. Okay. He's talking about no one would run into him in the street, sir. I'm sure no one is scared of you in this pink rose coat. But anyway, now let's go ahead. The judge is going to say some really profound stuff. Let's go ahead and let him rock.
Comments on masculinity. He says masculinity is fluid.
Me?
Oh, yes.
Side note, I'm not sure who this sister is. But sister, you know, if you see this, I would like to see you be a little more intentional in how you address the OG. Okay, because when I watched this, I see some of the ways you were talking to him, and you know, in my opinion, sis, it was disrespectful and it was inappropriate. Okay. This is an OG, this is an elder in our community. So all that, you know, I saw another video. She was talking to him sideways, like, would you just wait? And I was like, girl, I'm sorry, but you know, that just don't work like that. Like, I don't know if she just is always like that. Is the judge just immune to it? But sis, I do want to say it's really not a good look in the disrespectful way you speak to him, but that's totally outside the subject. But continue.
Well, let's start at the back end of what he said. My life doesn't belong to me alone. It belongs to the people.
By the way, trigger warning. I know a lot of you Negroes are out here now talking about soft life and talking about you want to do things different and you want to do more in life than just to serve and work and sacrifice. I know that's the new wave a lot of y'all are on, where you want to be in your feminine energy. So I'm letting you know now, if you're a guy living a soft life and you're like, oh my God, my life needs to be more than working and sacrificing, just go ahead and click off this video now, because you're about to lose your edges when you hear the judge speak on what real manhood is about. This is a lost art.
The duty of a man is to protect womanhood and promote manhood. Promoting manhood means training the boys so they can become men in the difficult task of being willing under certain circumstances.
Okay, I gotta just, he about to, I love that he said a part of manhood is being an example to young boys. So that's what I mean by no. We don't need young boys being like, oh, that's how Michael B. Jordan posed. That's how Jonathan Major posed. Okay, I'm gonna start laying my head on my friend's shoulder. Let's pay attention. Like, y'all just be wanting to sound good. Y'all just be wanting to pander, and you don't think about the bigger picture. I love that he started with that a big part of your masculinity is being the example and showing the younger generation what it is. It's a responsibility. Cook Judge.
To sacrifice their lives on the altar of duty, honor, obligation, responsibility, accountability, of ensuring that where you live is a place of public peace, dignity, and order, and when necessary, being brave and courageous to effectuate that. If he wants an exemplar, that white man and that black man, one of whom, the black man, he played in that story about not Roscoe, Ensign Brown, United States Navy. You saw the movie. It's a true thing, where he got shot down behaving heroically at the Chosin Reservoir to save those Marines in his ground attack, and where his white wingman landed, put his own life at risk to redeem or rescue him at all costs. It's outside of yourself. It takes a lot to put that into a man. And in order to put that into a man so he is a real man and not just a male, there can be no compromises. Ooh. You have to start this process when the boy child is still in the cradle. And from the cradle to the grave, that manhood must be reinforced and constantly restuffed back into the depths of his mind, from the very bottom of it to the very top of it. Because ultimately, being a man means that when the next Titanic goes down, if you're on it, you will stand up and say, ma'am, you and your child have my seat in this lifeboat, and I'll drown with the ship, but you too will be saved. You are a resource to humanity. I am but an
the amount of cooking. I'm trying to not let this video. I should have just made this a live stream, because the amount, boy, this right here, I know that so many men now, boy, you about to pass out. Okay. Because you done did so many things for the wrong people and the wrong woman. Now you're exhausted. Boy, this level of manhood, masculinity, this talk right here, y'all ain't ready for this. No, let me let him finish.
Expendable, and I will achieve my glory through an immortality commensurate with how much I was willing to sacrifice.
Woo! Wait, I gotta run that back one more time. Because I don't think y'all hearing the OG. Let me just.
In order to carry out my through an immortality, but
hold on.
You are a resource found with the ship, but okay, you too will be saved. You are a resource to humanity. I am but an expendable, and I will achieve my glory through an immortality commensurate with how much I was willing to sacrifice in order to carry out my duties and responsibilities, protect my honor, and show that I'm doing that with courage and bravery.
Woo, baby. You know what? Let's just go ahead. Bye, Judge. We don't even, baby, you don't cook that. Y'all don't cook that. Baby, this video getting too long. We might have to do a live stream on this, honey. The amount of cooking going on there, honey. Ooh. You know, this is a lost art. You know, we're at this place where you know, these lines are getting blurred so much where I see men that I've always admired as, you know, strong, masculine, heterosexual Black men now referring to themselves as cis het men. And I'm like, what are you doing? If you're not going to gatekeep your manhood, who is going to? The minute that you start letting people that aren't even a part of your community come in and confuse it and blur the lines, God help you. Okay. I know that's very triggering because, you know, present day, we're at this place where that's looked at almost as oppression to men of, what do you mean? My job is to serve and sacrifice and have resources, you know, that's just what it is. Okay. And I love how he said that kind of gatekeeping and keeping the definition of masculinity starts when boys are in the cradle. Okay. There is no letting up. There is no days off. Masculinity is not fluid whatsoever. There is indeed such thing as romantically intimate poses. Okay. And I'm honestly disappointed that so many of us can't tell the difference. I'm honestly disappointed that so many of us are allowing these people to come in and do exactly what they're sentenced to do, which is to desensitize us and shame and guilt us into not having clear lines, titles, and boxes and blurring those lines, okay? Masculinity is not fluid. Masculinity does not require romantic poses with other men to show love to their brothers. It's too much, okay? It's the same with a woman. A woman may say, you know, I want to be open with my sexuality, so I'm going to go sleep with the whole football team. Like, no, ma'am, you don't need to do that, okay? You could be comfortable with your sexuality with your man, with your husband, okay? So we don't need Black men being like, oh, Black man, I love you. Come lay on my bosom and let me put my head on your shoulder. You don't need to do all that, okay? You could give your brother an arm over the shoulder. You know how dudes be doing the pose? They be like this. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to be romantic. You ain't got to blur those lines, okay? Let's use some common sense. Y'all, let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you feel about what the judge said? Because I think he was cooking. We might have to do another part 2 to get the rest of what he was saying on this, because, honey, he was giving, that is the lost art of masculinity that we need to get back to, okay? Y'all, please like the channel, subscribe. Like the channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. And please leave a comment with your thoughts about today's subject. And now a word from our sponsor. So we are here in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and there is a new salon in town that I've gotten word is Black owned, honey. So we're about to go check it out and see what services you can get done today. Let's go. So when I went inside, customer service was impeccable. Very friendly. Everything was clean, girly. They even do like bridal shower and events. The makeup room is spectacular. She really just poured into my face, and she said that you can book online, you could call. As you can see, it came out incredible. I will definitely be back. You could not tell me nothing. They took such good care of me. I highly recommend. Y'all gotta check out the Beauty Lab in Lawrence.